This audiobook is not here to motivate you for a moment. It is here to rewire the way you think about yourself, your time, your energy, and your future. Motivation fades. Discipline doesn't. Noise distracts. Focus builds. And winning, real winning, is never loud in the beginning. We live in a world where everyone is watching everyone else. People know more about strangers online than they know about their own inner weaknesses. Attention is scattered, energy is divided, and confidence is borrowed instead of built. Most people wake up every day reacting to life instead of directing it. They check messages before checking their goals. They seek approval before seeking progress. They consume before they create. And slowly, without realizing it, they drift away from their own potential. Focus on you until you win is not a catchy phrase. It is a survival principle. It means choosing long-term respect over short-term validation. It means working in silence while others seek applause. It means building when no one is watching and continuing even when no one claps. It means understanding that your future does not respond to your intentions, it responds to your habits. This audiobook is about reclaiming ownership of your mind. Your thoughts shape your actions shape your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. If your thoughts are constantly influenced by comparison, distraction, and fear, your results will always be unstable. But when your mind is disciplined, when your attention is protected, when your standards are non-negotiable, your life begins to move in one clear direction. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. You don't need to tell people your plans. You need to execute them. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to be consistent somewhere. Focus is the ability to say no to almost everything so you can say yes to what truly matters. This audiobook will challenge comfortable excuses. It will expose hidden habits that keep you stuck. It will push you to stop explaining yourself and start improving yourself. It will remind you that growth is often lonely, progress is often quiet, and transformation rarely looks impressive while it's happening. But when the results arrive, they speak louder than any announcement ever could. Winning does not mean outperforming others. Winning means becoming unrecognizable from the person you used to be. It means mastering your impulses, controlling your reactions, and building a version of yourself that does not break under pressure. It means staying focused when quitting feels easier, staying disciplined when motivation disappears, and staying committed when results are delayed. You will learn why isolation can be powerful, why boredom can be productive, why discomfort is necessary, and why consistency beats intensity every single time. You will understand how focusing on yourself is not selfish but strategic, how protecting your time is not rude but responsible, how silence is not weakness but strength and training. This audiobook is for the person who is tired of starting over, for the one who knows there is more inside them but feels trapped by distraction and doubt, for the one who is ready to stop watching other people win and start building their own victory. Not loudly, not desperately, but patiently, deliberately, and relentlessly. The path ahead is not easy, but it is simple. Focus your energy. Eliminate the unnecessary. Commit to daily progress. Become disciplined when it's boring. Become consistent when it's hard. And stay focused on yourself until the results are undeniable. This is where it begins. Chapter 1. The power of undivided attention. Most people believe success comes from talent, luck, or timing. In reality, success comes from attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Every outcome you experience is a reflection of what you consistently focus on. If your attention is scattered, your results will be scattered. If your attention is disciplined, your life begins to align. Undivided attention is rare in today's world. Notifications interrupt thoughts. Opinions interrupt confidence. Comparisons interrupt self-belief. People try to build a future while their mind is stuck reacting to the present. They want growth but feed distraction. They want clarity but consume chaos. Over time, this mental noise weakens ambition and replaces action with anxiety. Focusing on yourself does not mean ignoring the world. It means deciding what deserves access to your mind. Your brain is not designed to process everything. It is designed to prioritize. When you allow everything in, nothing meaningful stays long enough to grow. This is why many people feel busy but unproductive, informed but directionless, connected but unfulfilled. Undivided attention begins with a simple but uncomfortable truth. You cannot become powerful while constantly observing others. Every time you measure your progress against someone else's highlight reel, you dilute your own momentum. Comparison shifts your focus outward, away from the work that actually moves your life forward. Growth demands inward commitment, not external validation. When you focus on yourself, you begin to notice patterns. You see which habits strengthen you and which ones drain you. You recognize how much energy you waste explaining yourself instead of improving yourself. You become aware of how often you delay action because you are waiting for certainty, permission, or reassurance. Attention reveals truth, and truth demands responsibility. The strongest individuals are not the loudest. They are the most focused. They do not react to every opportunity or distraction. They choose carefully. They understand that saying yes to everything means committing to nothing. Their discipline is not extreme, but it is consistent. They protect their mornings, their routines, their standards, and their goals because they know focus is fragile. Distraction is not harmless entertainment. It slowly erodes ambition. Each small interruption breaks momentum, and momentum is difficult to rebuild. Over time, distraction trains your brain to avoid depth. You jump from thought to thought, task to task, desire to desire, never staying long enough to create something meaningful. Focus, on the other hand, builds endurance. It teaches your mind to stay present even when progress feels slow. Undivided attention requires boundaries. Boundaries with people who drain your energy. Boundaries with habits that steal your time. Boundaries with your own impulses. Every boundary you set is a vote for your future self. It is not about becoming rigid or isolated. It is about becoming intentional. You cannot build a strong life with weak boundaries. When you commit to focusing on yourself, resistance appears. Boredom surfaces. Doubt grows louder. Old habits fight for control. This resistance is not a sign of failure. It is proof that change has begun. Growth disrupts comfort. Discipline challenges identity. Staying focused means continuing even when the excitement fades and the work becomes repetitive. Undivided attention transforms effort into progress. When your mind is fully present, your actions carry weight. You learn faster. You recover quicker. You make fewer mistakes and correct them sooner. Focus multiplies the impact of every hour you invest. 2 focused hours can outperform 8 distracted ones. This is why winning often looks slow at first. Focused people spend time mastering fundamentals while others chase shortcuts. They build quietly, refine patiently, and improve steadily. They understand that mastery is boring before it is impressive. While others seek quick recognition, focused individuals seek long-term results. Focusing on yourself also strengthens self-trust. Each time you honor your commitments, you reinforce belief in your own discipline. Confidence stops being something you feel and becomes something you rely on. You no longer need external motivation because your habits create momentum. You no longer wait for the perfect mood because action becomes non-negotiable. Undivided attention is not about perfection. It is about direction. You will still have distractions. You will still experience doubt. But your default response changes. Instead of drifting, you return to your priorities. Instead of reacting, you respond. Instead of consuming endlessly, you create intentionally. This chapter marks the foundation of everything that follows. Focus is not a skill you use occasionally. It is a lifestyle you commit to daily. When your attention is disciplined, your effort becomes powerful. When your effort becomes powerful, results become inevitable. And when results appear, they are not accidental. They are earned through quiet, consistent focus on yourself. This is where control begins. Chapter 2. Discipline is stronger than motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation rises and falls depending on mood, energy, and circumstances. Discipline stays when motivation disappears. This is why people who rely on motivation start strong and finish weak, while people who rely on discipline start slow and finish unstoppable. Most people wait to feel ready before they act. They wait for confidence before commitment. They wait for clarity before consistency. But discipline works in the opposite direction. You act first and the feelings catch up later. You don't become disciplined because you feel motivated. You feel motivated because you have trained yourself to be disciplined. Focusing on yourself means accepting a hard truth. No one is coming to save you. No one will consistently push you to show up on your worst days. No one will care about your goals as much as you do. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done without negotiating with your emotions. It is self-respect in action. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this today? Discipline asks, is this aligned with the person I am becoming? That question changes everything. When your identity is clear, discipline becomes easier. You stop making decisions based on comfort and start making them based on standards. Discipline is not about extreme routines or punishment. It is about repetition. Small actions done daily create a structure that supports progress. Waking up at the same time. Working even when the excitement is gone. Practicing when improvement feels invisible. These behaviors seem ordinary, but they create extraordinary outcomes over time. Most people underestimate how powerful consistency is because its results are delayed. You don't see progress immediately, so you assume nothing is happening. but discipline compounds quietly. Each disciplined action strengthens neural pathways, builds skill, and increases self-trust. One day the results appear suddenly, but the work was happening long before anyone noticed. When you focus on yourself, discipline becomes personal. You stop competing with others and start competing with your previous standards. You no longer measure success by how you feel, but by how often you keep promises to yourself. This shift builds internal authority. You become someone who can be trusted by yourself. Discipline also simplifies life. It reduces decision fatigue. When your routines are clear, you don't waste mental energy deciding what to do next. You follow the plan. This frees up attention for deeper work, creative thinking, and problem solving. Chaos drains energy. Structure protects it. There will be days when discipline feels heavy. Days when rest seems more appealing than effort. Days when quitting feels justified. These moments test your commitment. Discipline is not proven on good days. It is proven on ordinary days, boring days, uncomfortable days. Showing up on those days builds resilience. Focusing on yourself requires accepting delayed gratification. Discipline chooses long-term reward over short-term pleasure. It means saying no to distractions that feel good now but cost you later. It means choosing habits that are uncomfortable now but create freedom later. Every discipline choice is a trade. You are either trading comfort for progress or progress for comfort. People often misunderstand discipline as restriction. In reality, discipline creates freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from regret. Freedom from dependence on motivation. When your actions are consistent, your results become predictable. Predictability creates confidence, and confidence creates momentum. Discipline also strengthens emotional control. You stop letting moods dictate behavior. You learn to act despite fear, boredom, or doubt. This emotional stability becomes a competitive advantage. While others react emotionally, you respond deliberately. While others wait for inspiration, you rely on systems. Focusing on yourself means building systems that support discipline. You design your environment to reduce temptation and increase focus. You remove unnecessary distractions. You plan your days with intention. You make discipline easier by making failure inconvenient. This is not about willpower. It is about strategy. Discipline is not about never failing. It is about returning quickly. You will miss days. You will make mistakes. The difference is that disciplined individuals don't let one failure turn into a pattern. They correct, adjust, and continue. They don't waste time on guilt. They refocus. Over time, discipline reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. This identity shift is powerful. It changes how you approach challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. You no longer ask if you can handle it. You assume you will. This chapter reinforces a core truth. Motivation is unreliable, but discipline is always available. When you focus on yourself, discipline becomes your anchor. It keeps you moving when emotions fluctuate. It builds progress when excitement fades. And eventually, it carries you to results that motivation alone could never reach. Discipline is not dramatic. It is decisive. Chapter 3, Silence builds what noise destroys. Most progress is invisible. Most growth happens quietly. Yet many people feel an urge to announce every step they take, every goal they set, every move they plan to make. Noise feels productive, but silence is powerful. When you focus on yourself, you learn that real work does not require an audience. Silence creates space. Space to think clearly. Space to make mistakes privately. Space to grow without pressure. When you constantly explain yourself, you invite opinions that dilute focus. Everyone projects their fears, limits, and experiences onto your plans. Slowly, without noticing, you begin adjusting your goals to make others comfortable. Focusing on yourself means working without applause. It means allowing progress to mature before exposing it. Ideas are fragile in their early stages. Discipline needs protection. Momentum needs consistency. Noise interrupts all three. The more people you involve in your plans, the more energy you spend managing expectations instead of executing. Silence also builds mental toughness. When no one is cheering, you learn to rely on internal drive. You stop needing validation to continue. This strengthens self-belief in a way public approval never can. Confidence built in silence is stable because it is rooted in effort, not feedback. Many people talk to relieve anxiety. They speak to feel important, to feel seen, to feel supported. But talking too much about goals can create a false sense of progress. Your brain receives dopamine from being acknowledged, even if no action has been taken. This satisfaction reduces urgency and slows execution. When you focus on yourself, you replace talking with doing. You allow results to speak when the time is right. This does not mean isolating yourself completely. It means being selective. You share with people who understand discipline, not those who need entertainment. Silence sharpens focus. Without constant input, your mind becomes clearer. You hear your own thoughts instead of echoing others' opinions. You develop intuition. You recognize what matters and what doesn't. Noise confuses priorities. Silence reveals them. Working quietly also reduces pressure. Public goals create performance anxiety. You begin working to avoid embarrassment instead of pursuing excellence. Silence removes this weight. You are free to fail, adjust, and improve without judgment. This freedom accelerates growth. Focusing on yourself requires emotional maturity. You must accept that not everyone needs to understand your journey. Some people will misinterpret your silence as arrogance or distance. In reality, it is discipline. You are choosing progress over explanation. Silence also protects consistency. When no one is watching, you are less likely to perform for attention. You work because it matters, not because it looks good. This builds authenticity. Your effort aligns with your values, not with external approval. Many successful people appear sudden to outsiders. One day they are unknown. The next they are respected. What is unseen is the long period of quiet work. The late nights, the repeated failures, the relentless refinement. Silence hides the process, not the commitment. When you focus on yourself, you stop trying to prove anything. You stop defending your path. You stop reacting to skepticism. Skepticism loses power when you are deeply engaged in your work. Doubt becomes background noise instead of a decision maker. Silence also deepens discipline. Without external pressure, you must hold yourself accountable. This internal accountability is stronger than any deadline imposed by others. You become self-regulated. You do what needs to be done because your standards demand it. This chapter is about restraint. The restraint to keep your plans private. The restraint to delay recognition. The restraint to let effort accumulate. Silence is not passive. It is active focus. It is energy conserved and directed. Focusing on yourself in silence does not mean disappearing forever. It means emerging prepared. When you finally speak through results, the noise you avoided earlier becomes irrelevant. Your work stands on its own. Silence builds what noise destroys. And those who understand this rarely feel the need to explain themselves. Chapter 4. Cut distractions before they cut your future. Distraction rarely announces itself as danger. It arrives as entertainment, convenience, and harmless breaks. A few minutes here. Quick scroll there. A conversation that goes nowhere. Over time, these small interruptions quietly reshape your life. Not because they are dramatic, but because they are constant. When you focus on yourself, you begin to see distraction for what it truly is: misplaced attention. Every distraction steals time, but more importantly, it steals depth. It prevents you from staying with a thought long enough to turn it into skill, insight, or progress. Shallow focus creates shallow results. Most people don't fail because they are lazy. They fail because they are distracted. They spend their best mental energy reacting instead of creating. They consume more than they produce. They stay busy without building anything meaningful. Distraction gives the illusion of movement while keeping you exactly where you are. Cutting distractions is not about becoming rigid or disconnected. It is about becoming deliberate. You decide what deserves access to your mind. You decide what is worth your energy. Without these decisions, your attention is auctioned off to the loudest input of the moment. Focusing on yourself means auditing your daily habits. Where does your time go when no one is watching? What do you reach for when you feel bored, uncomfortable, or uncertain? These moments reveal your default patterns. Growth begins when you replace automatic distraction with intentional action. Distraction also weakens emotional control. Constant stimulation trains your brain to avoid discomfort. The moment work feels difficult, you escape. The moment progress slows, you seek relief. Over time, this creates impatience. You lose the ability to sit with challenge, and challenge is where growth lives. When you remove distractions, boredom appears. Many people fear boredom, but boredom is productive. It forces creativity. It sharpens focus. It allows ideas to form. Distraction fills every mental gap, leaving no room for original thought. Silence and boredom rebuild that space. Focusing on yourself requires saying no, often and without apology. No to unnecessary conversations. No to habits that don't serve your goals. No to constant availability. Every no protects a yes. Every boundary strengthens focus. Technology is one of the most powerful distractions, not because it is evil, but because it is effective. It is designed to capture attention. Without discipline, it controls your schedule, your mood, and your priorities. Focusing on yourself means using tools intentionally instead of being used by them. Cutting distractions also reveals resistance. When the noise is gone, you are left with your thoughts, your doubts, and your responsibilities. This can be uncomfortable, but avoidance delays growth. Facing yourself accelerates it. Depth requires time without interruption. Skills are built in long, focused sessions. Insight emerges from sustained thinking. Confidence grows from repeated effort without escape. Distraction fragments these processes. Focus strengthens them. People often ask how to improve faster. The answer is rarely adding more. It is usually removing less scrolling, less talking, less reacting, less consuming. When you subtract distractions, what remains is effort, and effort compounds. Focusing on yourself is an act of protection. You are protecting your future from being diluted by trivial inputs. You are protecting your potential from being scattered. This protection is not selfish. It is necessary. As distractions fall away, clarity increases. You see what matters. You feel less rushed. You act with intention. Progress feels steadier, not frantic. This is the rhythm of focused living. This chapter is a reminder. Your future is built in the moments you choose focus over distraction. Cut what interrupts your growth before it cuts your results. Chapter 5. Stop explaining yourself and start improving yourself. Explaining feels productive. Improving is uncomfortable. This is why most people talk more than they build. They justify their delays, defend their choices, and narrate their intentions instead of strengthening their execution. When you focus on yourself, you realize that explanations rarely change outcomes. Improvement does. Every time you explain why you haven't started, why progress is slow, or why circumstances are difficult, you shift energy away from action. Explanations soothe the ego but starve results. They keep you emotionally comfortable while keeping your future unchanged. Focusing on yourself means letting go of the need to be understood. Not everyone needs context. Not everyone deserves access to your reasoning. The people who matter will recognize effort without explanation. The rest are irrelevant to your progress. Improvement is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't defend its pace. It doesn't argue with doubt. It simply shows up and works. When you improve, explanations become unnecessary. Results clarify everything words try to justify. Many people explain because they fear judgment. They want to control how others perceive them. But perception is unstable. You can't manage every opinion. The more you try, the more distracted you become. Focused individuals accept that misunderstanding is part of growth. When you focus on yourself, your priorities shift. You stop investing energy in defending your path and start investing it in refining your skills. You stop arguing for potential and start building proof. This shift changes how you feel about yourself. Self-respect grows when effort replaces excuse. Improvement requires humility. You must admit that something needs work. You must accept that progress takes time. You must be willing to be bad before becoming good. Explaining avoids this discomfort. Improving embraces it. Stop explaining why you're tired. Improve your recovery. Stop explaining why you're busy. Improve your priorities. Stop explaining why it's hard. Improve your systems. Each explanation delays growth. Each improvement strengthens momentum. Focusing on yourself means becoming accountable to results, not stories. Stories change. Results accumulate. Stories protect the past. Results build the future. There is power in letting people underestimate you. It removes pressure. Removes expectations. It gives you room to grow. When you finally improve enough to be noticed, the contrast speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Improvement also builds resilience. You stop relying on external understanding. You rely on internal standards. This independence is liberating. You work because it matters to you, not because others approve. When challenges appear, explain less and adjust more. Analyze what failed. Strengthen what works. Remove what doesn't. Progress lives in correction, not justification. Focusing on yourself is about action over articulation. Let your effort be your response. Let your discipline be your defense. Let your results be your explanation. This chapter is a reminder, you don't owe the world an explanation. You owe yourself improvement. Chapter 6. Isolation is not loneliness, it is training. Most people fear being alone because they associate isolation with rejection. In reality, isolation is often preparation. When you focus on yourself, you begin to understand that stepping back from constant social input is not punishment. It is training for clarity, discipline, and self-reliance. Isolation creates an environment where distractions are limited and awareness increases. Without constant conversation, your thoughts become louder. You notice weaknesses you previously ignored. You recognize patterns in your behavior. This awareness is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Growth begins with honesty. Loneliness feels empty. Isolation feels purposeful. The difference is intention. Loneliness happens when you feel disconnected from meaning. Isolation happens when you choose focus over noise. One drains you, the other sharpens you. Focusing on yourself means spending time with your own mind. Many people avoid this because it exposes insecurity and doubt. But avoidance only strengthens what you refuse to face. Isolation gives you the space to confront yourself without distraction. During isolation, discipline is tested. There is no audience to impress, no comparison to motivate you, no social pressure to keep you moving. You must rely on internal standards. This builds real strength, strength that does not collapse when external support disappears. Isolation also accelerates learning. Without interruptions, you absorb information more deeply. You practice skills with intensity. You reflect instead of reacting. This depth creates mastery. Mastery cannot be rushed or crowded. Focusing on yourself in isolation does not mean cutting everyone off permanently. It means prioritizing growth over constant connection. You step away to build, not to escape. You return stronger, clearer, and more capable of meaningful relationships. Many high performers go through periods of intentional isolation. They simplify their lives. They reduce social obligations. They protect their time. This is not arrogance. It is strategy. Energy is limited. Focus decides where it goes. Isolation also strengthens emotional independence. You stop relying on others to regulate your mood. You learn to manage boredom, frustration, and doubt on your own. This emotional stability becomes a foundation for long-term success. When you focus on yourself, isolation teaches patience. Progress feels slower because feedback is delayed. There are no immediate rewards. This trains endurance. Endurance separates those who finish from those who quit. Isolation reveals who you are without external influence. Without opinions shaping your choices, you discover what you actually want. This clarity prevents you from building a life based on borrowed goals. There will be moments when isolation feels heavy, when progress feels invisible, when reconnecting seems tempting. These moments are part of the process. They test commitment. They refine intention. Isolation is not about hiding. It is about preparing. It is the quiet phase before visible results. It is the foundation being laid before the structure rises. Focusing on yourself requires embracing these seasons without guilt. You are not falling behind. You are not missing out. You are investing in depth. This chapter reinforces a powerful truth. Isolation is not loneliness when it is chosen. It is training for the version of you that can stand strong without constant validation. Chapter 7. Master your inner dialogue. The most influential voice in your life is the one you hear the most. Your inner dialogue shapes how you interpret events, how you respond to challenges, and how long you persist when progress feels slow. When you focus on yourself, you realize that winning begins with controlling the conversation in your own mind. Most people let their thoughts run unchecked. Doubt, criticism, fear, and comparison speak freely. Over time, these thoughts feel like truth even when they are not. The mind repeats what it practices. If you rehearse weakness, you perform weakness. If you rehearse strength, you build resilience. Mastering your inner dialogue does not mean silencing negative thoughts completely. It means questioning them. It means refusing to treat every thought as a command. Thoughts are suggestions, not orders. Focus gives you the ability to pause before reacting. When challenges arise, your inner voice will offer shortcuts. It will suggest quitting, delaying, or rationalizing. Discipline requires a different response. You replace "I can't" with "I will adjust." You replace "this is too hard" with "this is training." Language shapes behavior. Behavior shapes identity. Focusing on yourself means becoming intentional with self-talk. You stop insulting yourself for mistakes. You stop exaggerating failures. You analyze without attacking. Growth requires correction, not self-destruction. Your inner dialogue also determines emotional control. When you label difficulty as unbearable, your emotions escalate. When you frame it as temporary, you stay grounded. Calm thinking leads to calm action. Calm action leads to consistent progress. Most people seek external motivation because their internal voice is hostile. They need encouragement to counteract self-criticism. When you master your inner dialogue, you become self-supporting. You no longer depend on external reassurance to continue. Inner dialogue becomes especially important in isolation. Without distraction, thoughts become louder. This is where training happens. You practice redirecting focus. You practice patience. You practice self-command. Focusing on yourself means developing a neutral, disciplined inner tone. Not overly positive, not harshly negative, direct, honest, constructive. This tone allows you to evaluate performance without emotional distortion. Mastery also requires consistency. One positive thought does not undo years of negative patterns. Repetition rewires perception. Each time you interrupt destructive self-talk, you weaken its influence. Over time, your default mindset shifts. Your inner dialogue influences how you interpret setbacks. Failure can be evidence of inadequacy or feedback for improvement. The interpretation determines the outcome. Focused individuals choose interpretations that encourage action, not paralysis. When pressure increases, inner dialogue becomes decisive. Stress reveals training. If you have practiced calm, your mind remains steady. If you have practiced panic, chaos follows. Preparation happens in ordinary moments. Focusing on yourself means holding your mind to the same standards as your actions. You don't allow mental laziness. You don't tolerate narratives that undermine effort. You protect your focus internally, not just externally. This chapter emphasizes a critical skill. You cannot win a life you constantly argue against in your own head. Master the voice within, and discipline becomes easier, focus becomes stronger, and progress becomes sustainable. Your mind is either your greatest ally or your biggest obstacle. Train it accordingly. Chapter 8. Build systems, not moods. Most people structure their lives around how they feel. When they feel motivated, they work. When they feel tired, they pause. When they feel inspired, they begin. When they don't, they wait. This emotional dependence creates inconsistency. When you focus on yourself, you stop building your life around moods and start building it around systems. A system is a set of behaviors that operate regardless of emotion. It removes decision-making from moments of weakness. It tells you what to do when motivation is absent. Systems don't ask how you feel. They ask what time it is and what needs to be done. Focusing on yourself means accepting that feelings are unreliable. They change daily, sometimes hourly. If progress depends on emotion, progress will be unstable. Systems create stability. Stability creates momentum. Most people overestimate willpower and underestimate environment. They believe discipline is a personal trait instead of a design structure. In reality, behavior follows environment. When your environment supports focus, discipline becomes easier. When it supports distraction, discipline becomes a constant battle. Building systems starts with clarity. You define non-negotiables, work times, practice routines, recovery habits. You remove ambiguity. Ambiguity invites excuse. Structure invites action. A system does not need to be complex. In fact, simplicity increases consistency. One clear routine repeated daily outperforms an ambitious plan rarely followed. Focused individuals choose systems they can sustain, not ones that impress. Systems also reduce emotional friction. You no longer negotiate with yourself. You follow the process. This preserves mental energy for deeper challenges. Less thinking about starting means more energy for doing. Focusing on yourself means designing your days intentionally. You align tasks with energy. You batch similar work. You protect focus periods. This design transforms effort into output. When motivation appears, systems amplify it. When motivation disappears, systems replace it. This is why disciplined people appear consistent. They are not stronger emotionally. They are structured strategically. Systems also create measurable progress. You track behavior, not feelings. Did you show up? Did you practice? Did you execute? Tracking reinforces accountability and reveals patterns. Patterns allow improvement. Many people quit because they expect systems to feel exciting. Systems are repetitive. Repetition builds skill. Skill builds confidence. Confidence builds momentum. This chain cannot be skipped. Focusing on yourself requires patience with process. You trust that showing up daily, even imperfectly, compounds. You stop chasing emotional highs and start building reliable output. Systems also support recovery. Rest becomes scheduled, not reactive. This prevents burnout. Sustainable progress requires rhythm, not intensity alone. This chapter reinforces a key principle. Moods fluctuate, systems endure. Build systems that carry you forward when emotions fail. When your life runs on systems, focus becomes automatic and progress becomes predictable. Chapter 9. Delayed results are not failure. One of the fastest ways people abandon their goals is by misinterpreting silence as rejection. They work, they wait, and when results do not appear quickly, they assume something is wrong. When you focus on yourself, you learn that delay is not denial. It is part of the process. Most meaningful progress happens underground before it becomes visible. Skills develop before recognition. Strength builds before performance. Confidence forms before success. If you expect immediate proof, You will quit before the work has time to mature. Focusing on yourself means trusting effort without constant feedback. This is difficult in a world that rewards instant response. Likes appear immediately. Messages deliver instantly. But growth does not follow digital timelines. It follows biological, psychological, and skill-based timelines. Delayed results test patience. They challenge belief. They expose whether your commitment is real or conditional. Conditional commitment works only when progress is obvious. Real commitment continues when progress is subtle. Many people mistake lack of results for lack of ability. In reality, they are simply early. They abandon consistency just before compounding begins. Progress is not linear. It accelerates after accumulation. Before that, it feels slow and unrewarding. When you focus on yourself, you redefine success. Success becomes showing up. Success becomes executing the plan. Success becomes improving slightly each day. Results become a byproduct, not the only measure. Delayed results also protect you. They prevent premature ego. They force skill development. They teach humility. Fast success often creates fragile confidence. Slow progress builds durable strength. Focusing on yourself requires separating effort from outcome. You control effort. You influence outcome. Confusing the two creates frustration. Discipline thrives when effort is the primary metric. During delays, doubt grows louder. This is where focus matters most. Do you react to emotion or recommit to process? Do you chase shortcuts or refine fundamentals? Delays reveal character. Many people look successful because they survived long periods of uncertainty. They continued without assurance. They trained without recognition. They built without validation. The delay was not a setback. It was preparation. Focusing on yourself means staying steady when progress feels invisible. You continue routines. You protect standards. You trust the system you built. This steadiness eventually creates momentum. Delayed results also sharpen awareness. You notice small improvements. You adjust intelligently. You become more skilled at self-correction. This awareness improves long-term performance. This chapter is a reminder. Silence is not failure. Delay is not defeat. Growth operates on its own schedule. Stay focused, stay consistent, and let time complete the work you started. Chapter 10. Become comfortable being uncomfortable. Growth does not negotiate with comfort. It demands discomfort as payment. When you focus on yourself, you stop avoiding discomfort and start using it as a signal. A signal that you are expanding, not regressing. Most people design their lives to minimize discomfort. They choose familiarity over challenge. They repeat what feels safe. Over time, this safety becomes stagnation. Comfort protects the present but limits the future. Becoming comfortable with discomfort does not mean enjoying pain. It means accepting it without resistance. It means understanding that awkward beginnings, slow progress, and repeated mistakes are not signs of incompetence. They are signs of learning. Focusing on yourself means reframing discomfort. Instead of asking, "How do I escape this?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" This shift transforms obstacles into training. Training strengthens capacity. Discomfort often appears as boredom, frustration, or doubt. These states are not dangerous. They are temporary. Avoiding them trains weakness. Sitting with them builds endurance. Many people quit because they expect growth to feel rewarding immediately. In reality, growth feels clumsy before it feels powerful. Mastery looks unimpressive while it's forming. Comfort with discomfort allows you to stay long enough to reach competence. Focusing on yourself requires choosing effort over ease repeatedly. Waking up when you don't feel like it. Practicing when progress feels slow. Continuing when recognition is absent. Each choice strengthens discipline. Discomfort also sharpens focus. When things are easy, attention drifts. When things are hard, presence increases. This presence accelerates learning. Challenge demands awareness. There is also emotional discomfort. Saying no, being misunderstood, setting boundaries. These moments test identity. Focused individuals choose long-term alignment over short-term approval. When you become comfortable with discomfort, fear loses power. Fear thrives on avoidance. Exposure weakens it. Each time you act despite fear, confidence grows naturally. Focusing on yourself means expecting resistance, expecting fatigue, expecting doubt. These are not signs to stop. They are signs you are on the edge of growth. This chapter reinforces a fundamental truth. Comfort maintains, discomfort transforms. Learn to stay present when it's uncomfortable, and you unlock progress most people never reach. Chapter 11. Protect your energy like a resource. Energy is more valuable than time. Time passes regardless. Energy determines what you can do with it. When you focus on yourself, you realize that success is not about how many hours you have, but how much usable energy you protect and direct. Most people leak energy without noticing. Unnecessary arguments, emotional overreactions, overcommitment, constant availability. Each leak feels small, but together they drain momentum. By the time it's time to work, there is nothing left. Protecting energy starts with awareness. You notice what drains you and what restores you. Certain conversations leave you tired. Certain habits leave you unfocused. Certain environments weaken discipline. Awareness allows adjustment. Focusing on yourself means being selective with engagement. Not every message deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves attention. Not every opportunity deserves commitment. Selectivity preserves strength. Emotional energy is especially fragile. Carrying resentment, comparison, or guilt consumes mental bandwidth. Focused individuals process emotions without dwelling. They learn, release, and move forward. Lingering drains progress. Protecting energy also requires boundaries with work. Overworking feels productive but leads to burnout. Sustainable effort requires recovery. Rest is not laziness. It is maintenance. Focusing on yourself means designing recovery intentionally. Sleep, movement, and mental rest are part of discipline. Ignoring them weakens consistency. Energy management supports focus. Many people confuse being busy with being effective. Effectiveness requires alignment. When your energy supports your priorities, effort feels purposeful. When it doesn't, work feels heavy. Protecting energy also means letting go of people who consistently drain without supporting growth. This is not cruelty. It is clarity. You cannot build a focused life while constantly refilling others at your own expense. Focusing on yourself requires emotional responsibility. You stop expecting others to manage your state. You manage it. This independence strengthens confidence. When energy is protected, focus deepens. You think clearly. You act decisively. You recover faster from setbacks. Progress becomes smoother. This chapter emphasizes a key principle. Energy is a finite resource. Spend it intentionally. Protect it relentlessly. Direct it toward what builds your future. Chapter 12. Consistency is the real talent. Talent opens doors, but consistency decides who stays. When you focus on yourself, you realize that most achievements are not the result of extraordinary ability, but ordinary actions repeated without interruption. Consistency is unglamorous. It looks like showing up when nothing exciting is happening. It looks like repeating the basics when improvement feels minimal. It looks like discipline without applause. This is why so few people commit to it. Many people chase intensity. They work hard for short periods, then disappear. They mistake bursts of effort for progress. Consistency outperforms intensity because it compounds. Small actions done daily create momentum that explosive effort cannot sustain. Focusing on yourself means lowering the bar for perfection and raising the standard for repetition. You don't need flawless execution. You need reliable execution. Progress depends on frequency, not drama. Consistency also builds identity. Each repeated action reinforces who you believe you are. When you act consistently, confidence becomes natural. You stop questioning your capability because your behavior confirms it. Most people quit because they expect consistency to feel rewarding. In reality, it feels repetitive. Repetition is not failure. It is training. Training creates mastery. Focusing on yourself means respecting boredom. Boredom is often a sign that you are doing the work correctly. Mastery lives beyond excitement. Consistency protects progress during low motivation. Systems carry you when emotion drops. This stability allows long-term growth. Consistency also reduces stress. You stop rushing to catch up. You trust the process. You let time work for you instead of against you. When challenges arise, consistency keeps you grounded. You don't abandon structure. You adjust within it. This flexibility strengthens resilience. This chapter reinforces a simple truth. Consistency is not a personality trait. It is a practice. And practiced daily, it becomes unstoppable. Chapter 13. Stop waiting for confidence. Build it. Most people believe confidence comes before action. They think once they feel ready, fearless, and sure, they will finally move. In reality, confidence is built after action, not before it. When you focus on yourself, you stop waiting to feel confident and start doing the work that creates it. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a record of kept promises, completed tasks, survived discomfort, and repeated effort. If your actions are inconsistent, your confidence will be unstable. If your actions are disciplined, confidence becomes inevitable. Waiting for confidence is a trap. It feels logical, but it delays growth indefinitely. You don't feel confident starting something new because you haven't done it yet. That discomfort is normal. Avoiding it only reinforces doubt. Action breaks the loop. Focusing on yourself means accepting insecurity without obeying it. Fear does not mean stop. Fear means unfamiliar. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself repeatedly that you can act despite uncertainty. Many people try to boost confidence through external validation. Compliments, likes, approval. These sources are temporary. They inflate confidence briefly and then disappear. Real confidence is internal. It comes from knowing you can rely on your own discipline. Every small action builds confidence when it is intentional. Showing up when you didn't want to. Finishing what you started. Practicing when no one is watching. These moments accumulate quietly. Over time, they change how you see yourself. Focusing on yourself requires redefining confidence. Confidence is not feeling fearless. It is feeling capable. It is trusting that you can handle discomfort, adapt to challenges, and continue even when things go wrong. Confidence also grows through failure. Each failure you survive teaches resilience. It proves that mistakes are not fatal. Avoiding failure keeps confidence fragile. Experiencing it strengthens confidence. Many people delay action because they fear embarrassment. They imagine judgment. But embarrassment fades quickly. Regret lasts longer. Focused individuals choose temporary discomfort over permanent regret. When you focus on yourself, confidence becomes behavior-based. You don't ask, "Do I believe in myself?" You ask, "Did I do what I said I would do today?" The answer to that question determines confidence far more than emotion. Confidence also requires patience. It does not appear after one good day. It is built through consistency. Missed days slow the process. Kept commitments accelerate it. Focusing on yourself means practicing self-trust. Each time you honor your plan, you strengthen trust. Each time you break it, you weaken it. Confidence is the byproduct of trust in your own reliability. Confidence is quiet. It does not need to prove itself. It does not rush. It does not compare. It is steady because it is earned. People who appear confident without foundation are often compensating. People who build it properly don't need to display it. When challenges increase, confidence is tested. This is where preparation matters. If confidence is built on action, it holds. If it is built on comfort, it collapses. This chapter delivers a critical truth. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you construct, one action at a time, one promise kept, one uncomfortable step forward. Focus on your actions. Confidence will follow. Chapter 14, Outgrow Your Old Identity. Growth is not only about adding skills. It is about shedding identities that no longer fit. When you focus on yourself, you eventually face a difficult realization. The version of you that wants to win cannot coexist with the version of you that seeks comfort, approval, and familiarity. Identity shapes behavior. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you will act inconsistently. If you see yourself as disciplined, your actions align accordingly. Many people try to change habits without changing identity. This creates internal conflict and repeated failure. Outgrowing an old identity feels uncomfortable. It creates friction with your past behavior and with people who expect you to remain the same. Resistance appears not because you are wrong, but because you are changing. Focusing on yourself means letting go of labels that limit you. The stories you tell about who you are. The excuses you repeat. The roles you play to fit in. Growth demands honesty about what no longer serves you. An old identity feels safe because it is familiar. Even dysfunction becomes comfortable when it is predictable. Letting go requires courage. You must be willing to disappoint expectations, including your own outdated expectations. As you change, relationships shift. Some people will feel threatened. Others will feel confused. A few will be inspired. This is normal. Growth alters dynamics. Focused individuals accept this without guilt. Outgrowing identity also requires consistency. You reinforce the new version of yourself through behavior. Each disciplined action votes for your future identity. Each compromise strengthens the past one. Focusing on yourself means aligning actions with the person you are becoming, not the person you have been. This alignment reduces internal resistance. Life feels more coherent. There is grief in growth. You grieve old habits, old comforts, old social patterns. This grief is often misunderstood. It is not loss of self. It is evolution. Outgrowing identity also simplifies decisions. When your identity is clear, choices become easier. You ask, is this aligned? If not, the answer is no. Many people stay stuck because they fear becoming unfamiliar to themselves, but staying the same costs more than changing. Focus reveals this cost. This chapter emphasizes a powerful shift. You are allowed to outgrow who you were. Growth is not betrayal, is responsibility. Release what no longer fits. Step fully into who you are becoming. Chapter 15. Own your journey. No shortcuts. The final step in focusing on yourself is accepting that there are no shortcuts to mastery. No mentor, no program, no shortcut hack, no external validation will replace the consistent, disciplined, uncomfortable work of building your life from the ground up. When you focus on yourself, you accept total responsibility for the trajectory of your life. Most people chase shortcuts because they want speed without struggle. They look for proven formulas to success, viral strategies, or instant recognition. They fear the slow accumulation of effort, the repetition, the invisible growth. But shortcuts sacrifice depth. They deliver temporary satisfaction, not long-term capability. Focusing on yourself means choosing the long road. It means committing to doing the work that nobody sees repeatedly and patiently. It means accepting that progress is uneven, that setbacks are inevitable, and that discomfort is part of the process. Every shortcut avoided strengthens resilience. Every skipped step in learning weakens your foundation. True mastery comes from ownership. You cannot outsource responsibility for your decisions, your habits, or your attention. When you blame circumstances, other people, or luck, you give away power. Focusing on yourself requires reclaiming that power. You acknowledge, this is my life, my effort, my outcome. Ownership also demands honesty. You must evaluate where you fail, not in comparison to others, but in comparison to your potential. You must confront excuses, rationalizations, and avoidance. When you stop hiding from your weaknesses, you begin to strengthen them. Silence and attention become your allies. Most people avoid ownership because it is uncomfortable. It is easier to follow trends, imitate behaviors, or mimic success. But imitation is fragile. It creates dependence on conditions outside your control. Ownership is permanent because it grows from within. Focusing on yourself means learning to persist without recognition. You will work for months, sometimes years, without visible validation. You will face doubt, criticism, and internal resistance. The difference is that you keep moving. Action becomes non-negotiable. Discipline carries you past uncertainty. Ownership also requires patience with time. You cannot rush skill development, emotional growth, or strategic thinking. Each day of effort compounds, even when results seem invisible. Delayed gratification is a feature of mastery, not a flaw. The longer you invest intentionally, the greater the eventual payoff. Focusing on yourself means designing your life as a system of accountable actions. Your routines, boundaries, recovery, attention management, and discipline form an ecosystem that produces results naturally. Every shortcut bypasses part of this ecosystem and weakens future outcomes. No shortcuts exist for internal work either. Emotional control, confidence, and resilience cannot be borrowed or faked. You can study theory endlessly, but until you practice in real-world conditions, your growth remains theoretical. Real experience shapes character, not observation alone. Owning your journey also means accepting discomfort as a teacher. You will fail. You will make mistakes. You will face criticism. Instead of avoiding these moments, you leverage them. Each challenge strengthens focus, discipline, and self-trust. Pain becomes fuel. Setbacks become lessons. Many people seek recognition first, believing success is external. Focusing on yourself flips this principle. Internal mastery comes first. External rewards follow. When your attention, energy, and effort are directed toward your personal development, outcomes become inevitable. Ownership prevents dependency. You no longer wait for permission, validation, or encouragement. You act because the standard you set for yourself demands it. This independence creates freedom, the freedom to choose priorities, to fail safely, and to rise stronger. Focusing on yourself also strengthens long-term resilience. When life inevitably throws obstacles, you have built the systems, habits, and mental toughness to adapt. External circumstances influence you less. Internal consistency determines your trajectory. Finally, owning your journey is about pride, not ego. Pride is the quiet satisfaction of knowing that your work is yours, unborrowed and unaltered. Ego seeks attention and approval. Pride rests in effort and progress, in the disciplined accumulation of consistent action. This chapter closes the arc of focus. Attention, discipline, silence, boundaries, isolation, internal dialogue, systems, patience, confidence, discomfort, energy management, consistency, identity, and finally ownership. Each principle builds on the last, creating a complete framework for personal mastery. There is no shortcut to winning. There is only focus, effort, and the relentless decision to prioritize yourself until results become undeniable. The journey is yours. Own it fully. Now that you've gone through all 15 chapters of Focus on You Until You Win, you understand one fundamental truth. Real success starts from within, and there are no shortcuts. Every principle, discipline, silence, focus, energy management, patience, and ownership, leads in one direction, taking full control of your future. Remember, the world will throw distractions, opinions, and tempting shortcuts at you. But when you consistently control your actions, protect your energy, and align your identity with your goals, no external factor can derail your growth. Your focus is your superpower, your discipline is your anchor, and your ownership is your ultimate freedom. These principles become more than strategies, they become a lifestyle when you implement them in every choice, every action, and every day. From today onward, make focusing on yourself and taking consistent action your default. Own your journey. Remove distractions. Embrace discomfort. Grow relentlessly. Results will come, and when they do, they will be the natural outcome of all the effort nobody saw. If you found this audiobook valuable, subscribe to Rethink, and check the book link in the description for the original content. Keep your focus strong, own your journey, and your win will be inevitable. Remember, no shortcuts, no excuses, just you, your discipline, and your results.